Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. You know we love you in Canada. We love the Big C tribe in Africa, Big C, but there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys on April 16th, 2018, Big C? Your thoughts, Big C?
Charles, somebody let the cold in, you know. It's not who let the dogs out.
Yeah.
Who let the cold in. I mean, it is miserable down here in the south. I mean, the weather has changed. I mean, there's been storms, there's been tornadoes, you know, dipping temperatures and the chill factor. But, you know, baseball is in full swing. Think about this. They've already had 24 baseball games canceled due to inclement weather.
Wow.
Already this early season.
Yeah.
You know, too short of the record, you know, for the first month of the season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody is struggling everywhere right now.
Well,
they felt like the Cleveland Cavaliers last night.
They felt like the Cleveland Cavaliers. A lot of good things happening in the world of sports. We have POTUS. You know, there's a big fight coming up in Vegas. My friend called me from Vegas. He said, Curry, come down to Vegas and bet on the big fight. I said, what big fight? They're going to have another one? He said, POTUS versus Comey's having a fight, Big Z. And I asked him which one he was going to pick, so we'll get your thoughts on which one you're going to bet on. The NBA playoffs. You know, we love NBA basketball, and we see why it's so exciting going down to the finish. One of the best players in the history of the NBA universe, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. His birthday, 71 years old today. Really appreciate Kareem. And then we also want to ask you, Major League Baseball, of course, which team makes you feel good tonight in basketball here in Oakland, California? We have the Oracle Center and Golden State and San Antonio. Everybody's hyped for that, Big C. But before that, we have a smart guy who coaches San Antonio. You know, he follows politics, dude. Big C. He's not just some dumb guy that shuts up and dribbles, Big C and Popovich. What's going on in the White House? I heard somebody won $1.6 million lotto. Was it a lotto ticket that somebody won, Big C?
Well, Johnson, it seems like a lottery ticket. Well, when you think about it, the president, you know, and his attorney,
Yep.
you know, fighting in court to keep documents that were seized by the FBI from being open and gone through, citing attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
The president didn't realize that the FBI is the ultimate, you know, legal source in America.
Yep.
And they don't operate as some frivolous, you know, local law enforcement unit.
Right.
And so when they come after you, they come after you. And his attorney's been under investigation for months, not just this Stormy Daniels thing, but other incidents.
Yep.
And, you know, they went into court today to see, and this is what amazed me about the president's attorney.
Yeah.
Saying that he only represented 3 clients. Now, you think about this.
Yeah.
These clients have to pay you a lot of money.
Yeah.
If you're only representing 3 clients and you live in New York.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get a little apartment in New York.
That's true.
You know, on a simple retainer.
Yep.
Not only that, you were having your house remodeled, so there's some payments that are. But this is what I don't get. Now think about it.
Yeah.
He's living in a hotel.
Yeah.
Because his house is being remodeled.
Yeah. But
didn't he say he took out a loan on his house to pay Stormy Daniels?
He said his friend took out the loan, Big C. Don't you have friends like that, Big C?
No, not the president. This is attorney Michael Cohen.
Oh, Cohen said, okay.
Michael Cohen said he took out a loan on his house to pay Stormy Daniels. Now, I'm kind of thinking that you might be cash strapped if you're taking out a loan to pay Stormy Daniels. She wasn't paying it back. But now you're getting your house remodeled.
Yeah.
Now, I'm getting confused with which story is which.
Yeah.
But you think about this. He represents the president, and he paid out $130,000 for the president to Stormy Daniels.
Yep.
Now, his second major client is a guy named Elliot Brody.
Okay.
Who is the president of the RNC, the Republican National Committee.
Yeah.
All right? He had to resign several months ago because he had to pay $1.6 million to a Playboy bunny that he had an affair with that had a child.
Wow.
The thing about it, that this is one of Trump's top allies. Now, they have an affiliation here with these Playboy bunnies and adult actresses.
Doesn't everybody? Doesn't everybody?
This means that, you know, if you're involved with them, I guess you go to Michael Cohen for representation.
Yeah.
You know,
that's funny.
You know, the one guy where he had to resign from the Republican National Committee.
Yep.
The president is still in office.
Yeah.
But then you think that the president's #1 television ally,
yeah,
a guy who did not want to be disclosed, who fought to keep him from being disclosed.
Yeah.
But the judge said, no, you have to disclose him if he's an attorney. None other than Sean Hannity.
Wow.
Now think about it. The first two guys have something in common.
Yeah.
They're paying off adult entertainers copious amounts of money for alleged affairs that they're having.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Sean Hannity said, well, he never billed him. Now, you know, this is the guy who's backing the president.
Wait, Sean, the guy on Fox News? That's Sean Hannity?
The guy on Fox News. That's Sean Hannity.
Was he at the Playboy Mansion, too?
Mueller is a witch hunt against the president.
Wow.
And I guess he was trying to deflect it. Then all of a sudden he said he never had any personal contact other than just some real estate advice. Now, from what I've known, that Michael Cohen wasn't a real estate attorney.
No.
You know, when you think about it, he was a criminal attorney.
Yep.
You know, he wasn't a real estate attorney. So Sean Hannity went on air right after this broke and said, no, I only sought real estate advice from him. Now, here's a guy that's arranging payments for porn stars and Playboy bunnies.
Yeah.
And you ask him about real estate, I guess which hotel room you should rent. I guess that's the real estate advice. What flat should he buy in New York for his mistress?
Big Z,
I guess that's the advice he's asking him for.
All it means, I have a lot of boring friends. My friends, they just want to know who won the game. they don't even go get down like that. Big Z, I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. So when I think about everything that's going on in the world, and like we say, Big C Sports is about, it's real sports talk. I learned a lot of what I've learned, from the barbershop. There's a lot of black barbershops here in the Bay Area, Oakland, California. You can learn a lot.
Think about this, Charlton, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
But every time we talk about the president, okay?
Yeah.
That's sports affiliated because he once owned a professional football team in the USFL, the New Jersey Generals.
Yeah.
And he also tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. So when people say just politics, no. This man has a sports affiliation as well as he's attacked African-American athletes, calling them SOBs. Okay? He's right in the middle of the sports genre. So this is not politics. This is sports when we talk about the president.
Yeah, well, ignorant people can have opinions too, and people think they're two different things. It's the same universe. A lot of sports guys also date Playboy models, Big C, from what I understand. So maybe if you can't beat them, join them. That's why Donald Trump.
Look, you said we would let bygones be bygones, okay?
I understand.
We wouldn't talk about my personal life on the show, okay?
I understand, Big C. We won't bring it out in the open yet. I just wanna ask though. Sometimes I don't hear well. That's what people tell me. Charlton, didn't I tell you I needed you to get the cream with the coffee? I said, you didn't tell me to get the cream. You told me to get coffee. Well, the point is, did you say Hannity, the same good old boy on Fox News, was? Tell me that one more time. Did he did Trump pay him off too, or did he pay somebody on his behalf?
Well, he's the #1 advocate on television of the president.
Yeah.
He's Fox's News #1 anchor.
Okay.
Now he's backing the president and bashing the Mueller investigation and the Democrats in every turn that you can take. He also spent a lot of time bashing former President Obama.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it comes out today that he's one of only 3 clients that a New York attorney has.
Yeah.
And we know that the other 2 attorneys are responsible for making 6- and 7-figure payments to women that they've had affairs with.
Yeah.
Now think about this. Bill O'Reilly used to work for Fox, okay?
Yep.
They had a $30 million payout from Fox to Bill O'Reilly and $75 million in sexual harassment claims that Fox paid in behalf of Bill O'Reilly.
Wow.
Roger Ailes, former president of Fox prior to his death, was fired right after Bill O'Reilly was let go.
Yeah.
For sexual misconduct and harassment, that had occurred at Fox, that they had to make millions of dollars in payments on his behalf.
Yeah.
Now, Sean Hannity, good friends, associates of Roger Ailes and business partners of Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock together.
That's what I hear.
You know, I've heard that analogy.
Yeah.
Now, if he's with Fox, as they say, the acorn don't fall far from the tree down in the South here, okay?
Yep, I understand.
So, you know, that's what I'm looking at with Hannity.
Yeah.
Hannity got so much dirt in his closet that when it rains, there's a mudslide.
That's why they have those mudslides down in L.A. They all come from Sean Hannity's neighborhood, basically, from what I understand. You know, when I was a little boy, and I think most young people, at some point in time, you listen to your grandparents. And sometimes grandparents do things, and they call it mother wisdom. That means some wisdom, have some wisdom about yourself. They don't always tell you why they tell you certain things, like be home before it gets dark, you know, wash your hands before you eat, you know, don't go eat at a stranger's house if you don't know the people, those kind of things. But when I hear people who especially love sports, because sports will bring our society together, but when I hear some of our media brethren, whether they do the news or the fake news as Trump calls it, or whether they just stick to sports, sometimes what you do will come out of you when you speak. And I know my friend down there, I think he's more your friend, Hannity, because you Republicans all you Republicans stick together, Big C. People don't think that black guys can be Republican, but I know you're Republican when it comes to taxes, but you're Democrat when it comes to socialism, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, Sean and I cannot be seen in the light of day together. I guess you can say that.
Yep.
Right. But, you know, it was so funny in him trying to explain himself today. I mean, this come out in a federal courthouse.
Yeah.
Not some hearsay, as they want to say, came from fake news, CNN or ABC or NBC.
Yeah.
This came from a federal courthouse.
Wow.
From a judge that said, no, he cannot be hidden.
Yeah.
You have to disclose who he is. And all of a sudden, you know, Sean Hannity had no vigor in his voice.
No.
You know, he almost sounded a little sissy this afternoon when he was trying to explain himself.
Yeah.
He was soft-spoken. You know, you remember when I told you about that cat that's up on the roof when the coyotes are around the house?
I've seen that cat.
Like, you know, we got all day. You got to come down eventually.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Sean Hannity sounded like. He was just meowing like a little kitten. He was so nervous.
Well, I wonder, you know, what the late, great Richard Pryor would say, because I got a lot of my news from Richard Pryor growing up, because he could say things in a joking way, but it was real. And I never forget that story, and I'm starting to think that POTUS was involved in that story, where some woman came home 2 days early, and she saw her husband in the bedroom, and he was having fun with a Playboy bunny. And she said, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I can't believe you do that. I can't believe that you don't love me anymore. And he said, honey, who you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? He kept saying that he didn't do what she saw him doing. And so when it comes to POTUS and the First Lady, now I think people got to be real about something. Don't assume that someone's spouse doesn't know they get down that way. In California, they call them open marriages. Big C down south, I think you guys call them friends, okay? So everybody knows what they'll let their friends do. And I think POTUS does that more than not.
Charlton, over the years, it's called a paid-for wife.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
You think about it. He's imported 2 of his wives from foreign countries.
Yeah.
Okay? One of them was his secretary. His middle wife was his secretary or his business associate, whatever she was.
Yeah.
But she was there, you know, involved with him while he was married to his first wife.
Yeah.
And he married this third import wife while he was, got involved with her while he was married to the second wife.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you import, export, and I guess that's why he's so against immigration.
Yeah.
You know, and you also think about it. He's alleged to have had a child by his
allegedly
former housekeeper.
Yep.
Allegedly.
Doesn't
now,
everybody
I'm
know?
not going to say that she was American. I'm going to say that she was an import also, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep. Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, Big C, it's all fair in love and war. I know I was told when I was a young person by my grandparents to stay out of grown folks' business. And it took me a while to understand what they meant by that, because a lot of grown folks do what they do, like the Cleaver family, Leave It to Beaver. They did nothing wrong. They always wash their hands before they ate. Do you guys wash your hands before every meal? Sometimes you just grab the food and eat. That make any sense, Big C?
Well, Charlton, there's always warm water on the stove. I don't know if it was to boil something in or to clean your hands. I just know it was there, and, you know, there was a towel close by.
Yeah, well, we all know it's fair in love and war, and I wish I want our country to do great, but I don't like dumb people. And so I like people to Google. And if you really care about our country, Google everything. Even if we say it, Google it, it keeps us honest. Big C, I do want to say that, we talk about student athletes. And we know we're in the prime of the NBA playoffs. We love NBA action. I'm over here in the Bay Area getting ready for Golden State and San Antonio. But a lot of players that come to the NBA, they come from NCAA basketball. And I want to congratulate my friend Jay Wright. Jay Wright, the coach of Villanova. They won an NCAA championship, and he met with the Pope recently, and he gave the Pope an autographed basketball. And it came from free labor, just like slavery was free labor. Now, I'm not being flippant when I say this. Today is 50 years ago, the late, great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was fighting for economic justice. He wanted to fight that fight for a lot of people to create money and opportunities for people. So 50 years later, here's Jay Wright at the height of this consciousness movement, not by dumb players, but by the ones who read. Like we tell everybody, read, don't play basketball all day, read a book every now and then, and realize you're supposed to get paid for your labor, okay? What a good boy Cuba Gooding Jr. say, show me the money back in the day with Jerry Maguire. Well, I thought that, I read a lot, but I tend to Google, you tend to read. But I was thinking that Jay Wright was going to ask the Pope if he could pray with the NCAA president about atoning for the stealing of money in the billions of dollars from student athletes, primarily black kids. We know Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And I wonder if he had that heart so that the pontiff could address that issue. I think if the Pope spoke about egalitarianism, it would go a long way more than here's a hat and a jersey. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, to put the Pope in the middle of that, I think would cause too much pressure on mainstream society.
Pressure works.
Is that he would ask them to recognize their wrongs.
Exactly.
And so they're not going to do that, Charlton. They're not going to put the pontiff out there and say, these young men should be compensated or taken care of better financially.
Yeah.
Even though the Catholic Church is one of the largest, financial entities in the world.
In the universe.
In the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you think about that and what religion brings to everything, and, they always talk about prayer and, believing.
Yep.
I think if the Pope put that type of pressure on the NCAA, how would they explain themselves out of it, Charlton? It would almost be like the incident that occurred Thursday in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
When two black men were sitting in a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And the manager called the police on them as they were waiting on a third member of their party to show up.
Yeah. Saying
that they've made everybody in there uneasy because they were just sitting.
Yeah.
And they hadn't ordered anything.
Yeah.
And, this has gotten to the point of America saying that blacks don't matter about anything. And there should be a national outcry and protest against Starbucks. But you cannot go in and sit in a place of business. You're dressed properly.
Yeah.
You're sitting down being orderly. You're not creating a scene. You're not harassing anybody. And the police are called on you and you're arrested.
Yeah.
For just being a person of color.
Yeah.
That's where our society has gone to. And this is supposed to be the city of brotherly love. I think that's what Philadelphia's motto is.
Brotherly love.
The city of brotherly love. But yet you are arresting two African-American men for sitting in your establishment waiting on a third member of their party. Now, America, most of you drink coffee in the morning or sometime during the day.
Yeah.
Think about how many times you've gone to a restaurant for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and you're waiting on members of your party to show up.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked to leave by management because you were waiting on other members of your party to show up?
Wow.
Now, I know most men that are single waiting on their date to show up. If they didn't pick her up, they're going to sit there a half hour sometimes.
Yeah.
And wait.
Yeah.
But, here are these African-American men, broad daylight, wasn't dark, wasn't dimly lit. This is inside a Starbucks full service in Philadelphia. Arrested for sitting there.
I tell you what, that kind of hurt my feelings when I hear that, because I have young kids that I love, and I know that sometimes we just take things for granted. I have a lot of friends, black, white, Asian, Native American. I've seen and heard stories from everybody. But what I've never really thought about is that's how my parents and grandparents lived, Big C. They didn't get the police called on them because they just couldn't get in. And I know a lot of people might say, well, they came out and made an apology about it, as well they should. But I hope that...
Charlton, the incident shouldn't have... They'll always say, well, this is an isolated incident.
Yeah.
Isolated incidents are incidents that happen, okay?
Yeah.
That should not happen.
Yeah.
You can apologize. You know, this is like in Stoneman Douglas High School, Charlton.
Yeah.
All the thoughts and prayers are going out to those 17 people that lost their lives.
Yeah.
We don't need no thoughts and prayers when somebody has lost their lives through violence, through an act that our government could have changed years ago.
Yeah.
We don't need apologies for being arrested, for sitting down, not protesting, just sitting down. You think about this. You compare the Starbucks in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, okay, to Charlottesville. Let's go down there, where those neo-Nazis were marching, okay?
Yeah.
And these white supremacists were marching. And the president said, these are good people. They represent America.
Yeah.
All right? But yet, black men sitting in a coffee shop get arrested for a non-violence, non-interaction ordeal.
Yeah.
Yet these white people go out and attack people and actually kill one young lady and injure dozens others. And the president said they're good people.
Let me ask you a question, Big C, because it's equal time. I don't know why I have so many Republican friends, especially my Caucasian brethren. Nothing wrong with that. But I was talking to one of my friends just today about what happened in Philadelphia, and he says, Charlton, why does the black community get so upset over one incident where somebody has something that's egregious that happens, law enforcement call, at the coffee shop? But this thing called black on black crime, how come you guys don't march for that? And I thought about what he said, and I said, you got a very good point. And as I was trying to defend, myself as an African-American male, it just came back at me. Not all of us are judged the same. I can't be responsible for the actions of an entire group of people. But when he says something as a Caucasian man, and he's a good man, I'm not trying to make it seem like he's nefarious by any means. He's a good man. But when he says, why don't you guys protest, like I'm part of it, why don't you guys protest when black on black crime happens? And Big C, I don't often get stumped all the time, but I told him I got to think about that because that's a very salient point. Big C, your thoughts?
Okay, Charlton, when was the last time you seen national coverage on a weekly basis on black crime on television? They won't show it because it's acceptable by white society, okay? It is. Think about this. But you see this opiate epidemic by white America on television all the time.
Yeah.
And now we have a medical crisis. Think about it. There's a medical crisis when white people are dying at the rate of 166 a day in America from drug overdoses that are produced by white people. Not brought in here by the Mexican cartel.
Yeah.
Not brought in on no boats or planes. It's produced in a pharmaceutical lab here in America by Pfizer and other companies.
Yeah.
And they're backed by our Congress, our lobbyists, and our president. These companies that got the tax breaks from the president.
Yeah.
That got a 5% tax break, went from 27 down to 22%. So they could make even more profit off of selling opiates to the American public, synthetic opiates.
Yeah.
White people don't cry about that. Well, they do. They get a lot of public news. The national news covers this.
Yeah.
The national news does not show crime in black impoverished neighborhoods. The only time they show is when there's an injustice by a white towards a black. Okay? That creates uproar. And the reason why it's done, Charlton, is because it's to create animosities.
Right.
That's the reason why you see this. The reason why you see the black men arrested, you see young black men being shot, it is to create racial upheaval in America, to keep tensions high. That is the reason why we see that. Not that you see black on black crime. That's not going to create tensions within America, black versus white.
Yeah.
But when you show a white officer killing a black pedestrian, that creates racial tension.
Yeah.
What happens when you have racial tension is that you have public destruction.
Yeah.
You have public outrages. Who benefits from that? Insurance companies, Charlton.
Yeah.
That are white held. It's an economic chain when you see these certain actions on television. It's not because people care. There's an economic engine that is running that device.
Yeah.
So if we make these people mad and we show it on TV, now they go out and riot, they burn, they tear down buildings. Oh, people get arrested. That's an economic engine. They need lawyers. That's another economic engine.
Yeah.
Oh, they may do time.
Yeah.
That's another economic engine. Free labor, Charlton, while they're locked up.
Well,
That is the reason why you don't see black-on-black crime on television, because there's no economic and social or emotional value to white society.
Well, I tell you what, I think as I talk to a lot of my good friends, I know down south you guys have a lot more, I guess there's a lot of enmity. Everybody smiles in your face now, it seems, in California, but the people like you can tell if people do or don't. But I do know that in order to solve this problem, it takes dialogue. I think there's a great man by the name of Tim Wise. I remember back in the day, growing up watching Larry King. And what I love about Larry King, very erudite, very well-read, loved by Hollywood, loved by our media brethren. And what's missing is someone like Larry King that can have on two sides and have people talk, because I don't want to be known as someone that says all white people this or all black people that. We're all one race of people.
What was the biggest dialogue in America 6 weeks to a month ago? What was the biggest dialogue in America?
The massacre down in Florida.
Stoneman Douglas High School. What have you heard the last 2 weeks about that, Charlton?
Nothing, really.
None. Nothing. For a month, it was the biggest story in America. Every news outlet covered. It lost steam.
Yeah.
There was no emotion to be put on television anymore. They had said all they were going to say. They had seen all they were going to say. They held their marches. And it's like the news covers, okay, it's not sexy anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it is. As long as the news outlets can create strife in American society, they will cover a story. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're looking at ratings, and every news outlet, not just one, everyone covered it, Charlton.
Yeah.
Everyone had a different angle and spin.
Yeah.
But tell me, last week, did anybody mention Stoneman Douglas on television? There's dozens of news outlets, radio, television, print.
Yeah.
Nobody mentioned Stoneman Douglas.
Yeah. Well,
we're here already this week, Charlton.
Yeah. Well,
nobody has mentioned Stoneman Douglas. And even beyond that,
yeah,
the massacre in Las Vegas. When was the last time we heard about that on television?
It's been a long time.
Don't.
Yeah.
We don't. So does the news care? They care if they can make a rating and create upheaval and social divide in America.
Yeah.
That's what you get every time you see a white officer killing a black pedestrian, a black citizen. You have racial upheaval. Just like with the arrest in Philadelphia, you created racial upheaval. They're not going to arrest a white guy sitting in a Starbucks, but the black guys created a racial upheaval.
You know, I think about that because as a black father, you know, I do the AAU tournaments here in California. A lot of the kids are high school kids that play basketball, and a lot of college coaches will come around, and like a good friend of mine told me, you got to know when you're being preyed on. Not necessarily being preyed on by the church. Yeah, you got to know when the pastor wants to prey on you too. But there's a lot of times they prey on people, and I call it recruiting is preying on kids, because when you love somebody, you give them money. When you love someone, you invest into them. That means you put money into them. You don't tell them, go out and bring the money back and I'll give you some of it. No, you invest in people. Invest in cars. People invest in homes. You make an investment in people. But when I hear these young kids, black and white, different ethnic groups, religions, beliefs, boys and girls, and we were talking about the thing that happened in Philadelphia. And my young black athletes and my young white ones, they know right from wrong, and they all say that should not happen. So that gives me great hope for the future. But I also gotta say that some of my older people that I know, some of them said, I don't want to be pejorative, some said, well, they must have done something wrong Why else would they call the police, Big C? And I just thought, what a dumb thing to say. But I know the only way to fix it, the only way to fix a cancer, and racism is a cancer, you got to cut it out. You can't cut out something that does not exist because you don't talk about it. That's why I love asking people to Google it and find out how we can create dialogue. I think that's so important. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And for every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, or your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. It's Big C. In the world of sports and politics and thinking, for thinking people, they're insatiable when it comes to reading. They're insatiable when it comes to gaining knowledge. And that's why I think that Big C Sports has become the #1 sports show in the universe. Not like those sports programs that you can watch, all of them. I don't care which one it is. Every single one of them. Have them turn off the teleprompter for 1 week. Have them take that producer thing out of the ear for 1 week. Big C, they all are lost and they all sound the same. We'll never become that. But I do want to take some time to acknowledge one of the most conscientious, most beautiful men that I've known, and the men can call men beautiful, Big C, so don't give me any funny looks, you good old boys with your gun-toting furious down south, Big C. I do want to acknowledge Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Not only was he the best basketball player scoring-wise in the universe, no one has scored more points than Kareem. The skyhook, as is recognized around the world as Santa Claus sled. There's something about music. When you listen to music, if you really want to feel it, as a good friend of mine told me, listen to it in the dark. In the dark is where you listen to it, because your mind can feel it. You can feel what people mean. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, not only was he an actor, an intelligent man, an advocate, just a great basketball player. I want to say happy birthday, Kareem. Not just for being a great basketball player, but being someone that intelligent people can look up to. Big C, your thoughts?
He was a true virtuoso, Charlton, when you think about it. His knowledge beyond his years, even as a youth in America, growing up in the civil rights movement, Charlton, being an activist in that as a teenager, knowing that he was part of society that was going to make a difference in America. Not just on the basketball court, everyone knew of his ability, but his mental paralysis was the greatest thing that he carried, Charlton.
Yep.
He was unequal on both levels, mentally and physically. But for a man to take his position that he did in society, not just stand by the side, Charlton, as we've seen so many tremendous athletes do today, not like a LeBron James. LeBron James is out there like a Kareem was.
He's amazing.
And in that era, what LeBron does now is what Kareem did 40 years ago, Charlton, 50 years ago in America.
Amen to that.
And did not have the news notoriety about it. And he's always been an outspoken advocate against societal injustice towards people of minority, Charlton. He's traveled the world.
Yeah.
He took the path of a Malcolm X and a Muhammad Ali by changing his name, changing his religion, Charlton, his belief on how men should be treated in the world. Not just based on your color, but based on what's in your heart.
Yes.
And that was Kareem. That was his message then. That's his message now. And he's been one of America's greatest people. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom 2 years ago from past President Obama.
Yep.
Which he said was the height of his career. Well beyond his 5 NBA championships, all-time leading scorer, rebounder, and top 10 assist man when he retired from basketball.
Yeah.
But his work as a humanitarian, Charlton, that he was not seeking people to know about, that he did behind the scenes. That's the character of a true man.
One of the things I think about Kareem, 50 years ago, we were in the height of the civil rights movement, where things like calling the police on people at Starbucks who want to use the bathroom was commonplace. But Kareem, there was a picture of Kareem And there was Muhammad Ali, the late great Muhammad Ali, the GOAT. He was in that picture. There were several other athletes and famous
Jim
people.
Brown, Bill Russell.
Yep.
Stokely Carmichael.
Yeah. Them good
Many
old boys.
other tremendous athletes of that era, Charlton, and activists.
Yeah.
He was a part of that as a teenager.
Yeah. So I want to bring this point up, and I want to get your thoughts, because a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people say, oh, Kareem, he's kind of sullen. You know, he's kind of hard to get along with. You know, he's too focused. He's all about business. He never has fun. But when you read and you're walking through a fire, when a house is on fire, you're not sitting there laughing, shucking and jiving. When a house is on fire, you're not looking around to see who notices you. When a house is on fire, you're trying to put out the fire. But number one, you get out of the house. Kareem grew up in a time where he spent time around erudite men. They weren't concerned about who's going to sign the biggest shoe contract, who's going to make it rain the most, and some doing whatever they do. I'm not saying any man's above anything. But Kareem grew up being educated the same way the Big C Sports Show will educate you. We don't like dumb listeners, and I don't care if that offends people. I want people to learn, especially young black boys that have been too marginalized and patted on the back and given a basketball like Jay Wright gave the Pope, as opposed to saying, can you come prey on some of the ills of America? He gave him a basketball. That's what they do to young black boys. Give them a basketball, shut up and dribble. Maybe you get a scholarship. But Kareem, and I want to get your thoughts. You're older than I am. You grew up mostly doing that.
Hey.
Well, you know,
you got to make it
allegedly.
This is an alleged statement, okay? Allegedly, you're older than I am.
They say black don't crack, so I don't know how old you are, Big C. You might be 30 of all I know, Big C. But you and guys like Kareem, you grew up when people had to read because they needed to save their lives. They had to understand the civil rights movement. We are a nation of laws. So I think what isolated Kareem from this hip-hop, you know, she got game and he got game and who can I date and all that stuff that a lot of people, Kareem was more about business. Tell me what it meant to you growing up, having guys who were socially conscious back in the day compared to who cares about how much money I'm making on a contract. That make any sense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, if anybody is to compare an interview today with an athlete, Charlton, and a sports figure today, people didn't appreciate Kareem because it was like interviewing Coach Popovich today.
Yeah.
You see how anal the reporters get when they're dealing with him.
Yeah.
That's the same way it was with Kareem. You cannot ask the stupid question.
Yeah.
Unless you came to Kareem with some intelligence, because he was going to give you, you know, an answer of intelligence. He wasn't going to give you the typical, well, you know, we were on our game tonight, and, you know, we had pressure on them all night, and, you know, we had a good game plan, and we followed what Coach said.
Yep.
That was not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Nope.
You know, he was very knowledgeable when he spoke to the media. That always offended media.
Sure did.
That he was more intelligent than the guy that was interviewing him.
He's uppity.
The answers that he gave, his oratory, was not simplistic. Is that he would explain something to you in a Nietzsche type of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so people would sit there and say, wait, we asked you about the damn game. You know, I'm explaining to you the way I understand it, okay?
Yeah.
This is how reporters work, so they didn't get along with it.
Yeah.
They said he was arrogant and brash. No,
uppity.
He was intelligent.
Yeah.
You know, no one says that Greg Popovich is unintelligent. Here's a man who went to the Air Force Academy, spent 5 years in military service.
Yep.
But he does not answer like the normal coach. You know, he answers from a military perspective.
Yep.
And that's how Kareem was. He answered from an intelligence perspective. America had gotten so used to athletes being simplistic is that when Kareem came along and his oratory was, you know, not matched by any other athlete of his era, not even the white athletes, it offended the white media. So they did not embrace him on the interview circuit. As a matter of fact, his career was much better than what they wrote it down to be.
Yeah.
Because they were offended in talking to him, because they were the lesser of the two individuals of intelligence in that conversation.
Yep. And so on a birthday, everybody wants to be significant. And significant doesn't mean you made a lot of money. I know guys that did bad things that make a lot of money. I know guys who went to college, and we all do.
Why do you want to talk about the president?
I'm not talking. Well, you know. I got to add Hanley. I had no idea that Hanley was making it rain either, Big C. You understand what I'm saying?
you were flying about his Playboy bunny.
Hey, I think when I heard the Easter Bunny was coming, I didn't know they meant the one that you went down and paid $130,000 to. Like I told you, I'm a bit naive, Big C, but Google started to make it even. So I do want to congratulate Kareem. I appreciate intelligent man. Imagine, before we get on a few more things that happened in the NBA over the weekend, and you know, congratulations to Kareem having a 71st birthday. I just appreciate guys who read. I think if we teach our young kids to read, black and white doesn't matter. Reading's so important that there was a time the slaves couldn't read. In fact, you would get put to death, put to sleep if you read. It opens your mind. You know, people can fool you sometimes, but if you read a contract, and if you can't read it, have your attorney read it. At least you have a backup plan. That's always important, especially for people who've been marginalized and ostracized and held out of that system. I do want to touch on tonight's game in the NBA, but before we even go there, I want to look at what happened over the weekend. I know King James, who I think LeBron James, a lot of people say, where will LeBron James go? What team will he play for? Will he re-sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers? It doesn't matter where he signs. What I appreciate about LeBron puts his money where his mouth is. LeBron invests in business to employ people. LeBron is an alpha male. Make no doubt about it. He's an egotistical person, and every good athlete has an ego, so that's a good thing. But what I love about LeBron is he's not just a basketball player. His life is not over once he retires from basketball, just like Shaq. Shaq's still one of the most brilliant men out there. His life didn't end when he hung up the plain shoes. A lot of men are like that. Jordan, even though Jordan was quiet at first, Jordan's a businessman too. So give me your thoughts, Big C, what that means for the next level of athlete, whether LeBron James retires or not. That man is building a legacy for every athlete to follow. If you can't lead, follow, get out of the way, but follow what he does off the court more so than on the court. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you have to look at the draft class that he came in with. You know, you're thinking about a Dwayne Wade, a Carmelo Anthony, a Chris Bosh, who was already retired. These were part of the draft class that LeBron James came in. LeBron James is the only one who is still going strong and steady in the NBA. I mean, he's a philanthropist. He has done so much for society, and he is not expecting accolades for it, Charlton. He does it out of his heart.
Yeah.
And that's what people do, Charlton. You know, they do it out of their hearts. Bill Gates is not asking for people to know what he does on a daily basis.
No.
He and his wife, Melinda.
No.
They just do it, Charlton. And that's LeBron. He does it on and off the court. You think about what he has done throughout his 15-year NBA career. He's been the inspiration of so many young people in America. People look forward to LeBron. They set their daily planner based on what LeBron did the day before, regardless of culture, Charlton.
Yep.
He is an icon, a phenomenon in the world, not just in American society, in the world. And, you know, this weekend, you know, was a tough weekend for him. He lost his first round playoff game, Charlton, since,
12 years
2012.
Now. Been 12 years.
May 6th, I believe, was 2012, the last time he lost the first round playoff game, Charlton, in the NBA. So it's been a long time since LeBron has been in his situation. But you also got to remember, just 2 years ago, Charlton, he was down 3-1 in a championship series when he won the first title for Cleveland in 48 years.
Yeah.
The thing with Cleveland right now, Charlton, the team that they have, is that when they made this trade, those players were inspired to be with LeBron.
Yeah.
Is that they had to try to live up to his era. But then all of a sudden they realized that, you know, I was as good as I was going to be in the NBA even when I got traded to Cleveland.
Yeah.
It wasn't like all of a sudden I was going to become a superstar.
Yeah.
And so that what has hurt Cleveland. And the biggest problem Cleveland has right now is when LeBron couldn't get it done the past couple of years.
Yeah.
They had another X factor named Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
That they could go to, that no one could stop. Yes, they have Kevin Love, who is a phenomenal shooter in the NBA, and never gets the credit because he plays on the same team as LeBron, but he was a perennial all-star when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
But they don't have Kyrie Irving now. And you think about what Dr. Drew would do last year in the playoffs and the year before that, Charlton, when he was that alternative guy to go to.
Yeah.
They don't have that. J.R. Smith is not consistent enough. So the guys on the team right now are not the guys that Cleveland have had the last 3 years. Even though they thought the trade would upgrade the team, right now LeBron is playing with fans in the playoffs because they've been used to watching him this time of the year.
Yeah.
Not playing. And so they did in game one what they've been doing for the past several years, watching LeBron.
Yeah, I think sometimes, you might understand this. Back in the day, you guys went out to the club, Big C, and in the club, when women go to the restroom, they usually take the whole herd. It may take 7 women.
I thought you went to the golf club.
No, they take 7 women to the club and to go use the restroom, Big C, and they all want to watch the pretty girl, that what they call, if I could use this term, the alpha female. They always flock behind that one. And I think with LeBron, a lot of men, they become mesmerized by watching what's the alpha male going to do. I don't want to get criticized. I don't want to get in this way. They want to watch the alpha male. A lot of movie stars have that. An A-list star doesn't want to do a movie with another A-list star. It's a shame that Michael Jackson and Prince never sang Big C. That was total alchemy that we missed out on. But I want to just run down a couple of things. My friends up in Canada, I love something about the Raptors. If you've ever been to the city of Toronto, I don't think there's any way that Drake could beat me singing, "Oh, Canada." It's our home and native land. And I think if you think about it, that arena, there's so much electricity. There's so much energy. There's something about a country getting behind one team. We don't have that in the United States. Give me your thoughts on Toronto. They were pushed by Washington. POTUS is home. How many games does Trump go to see Washington play, Big C? You think he sits in front row, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's some places people just don't want you to come in.
And too many SOBs.
You got to look at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
And, I guess they couldn't have the old name that they had. Now, think about it.
Yep.
When they won an NBA title back in the 70s with Wes Unseld and Elvin Hayes and Phil Chenier, they were named the Bullets.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And they changed the name to the Wizards. So I guess it would have been very appropriate to have that same name in the house.
Well, Trump is a wizard, Big C. He's been wizarding himself out of a lot of situations. Your thoughts quickly on Toronto, your impression of them beating Washington in a close game, but they got it done at home, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's just a tremendous, feat for Toronto. You think about it. They've lost first-round games in 10 consecutive series.
Yeah.
This is the first time that they've gotten out with a victory, Charlton, and you got to, appreciate Coach Casey and his fortuitous, in sticking with his game plan.
Yeah.
Some tremendous players. I mean, they got so much help off of their bench that you really found out how good a team Toronto was in this game against the Wizards is the depth of their bench, and that's developed by a coach, Charlton.
Yeah.
Knowing how to pull the trigger at the right time to bring in the right players.
Yep.
And you talk about the fanfare up there, I think of Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
That, I guess they should just call it all of Canada Center.
Canada.
They were all over the place. I mean, the electricity reminded you of a college game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's that electrifying in any other arena in the NBA, even at Oracle out there in Oakland where you are.
It'll be loud tonight.
With the Warriors winning those championships, Charlton.
Yeah.
When I look at the resonation of the crowd in Toronto, this is what the NBA is supposed to be. I don't think they've ever had a game where they haven't had a sellout up there since they moved into that arena.
Yeah.
So, when you look at some of these NBA arenas and they look cavernous, the Raptors have something now, Charlton, that can carry them a long ways, in the NBA East.
Yeah.
They have depth. They have a starting lineup. They have 2 excellent starting guards. They have a front line that's a physical force.
Yep.
And that's what you need in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I think they're dynamic. I look at Boston with a 1-0 series lead over Milwaukee. That game went to overtime. Giannis is a beast and a great athlete. I think he's almost like the second coming of LeBron James, even though I think LeBron James, people compare him to Jordan, but I think his dominance of the game, not like Kareem because they play different positions, but LeBron's a lot like Wilt Chamberlain. But I want to get your thoughts quickly on Giannis. and they came up short against Boston. But those young, you told me that story about the young bull and the old bull up on the hill, and the young bull wanted to run down the hill, Big C, and do what he was going to do. And the old bull said, no, let's walk down and enjoy everybody, Big C. Give me your thoughts on Giannis and how much he has going for him in the future, Big C.
Well, Charlton, this is one of those scenarios where the lower seed team is playing better than what people expected.
Yeah.
You know, Milwaukee took them to overtime. I mean, and that's something that Boston wasn't looking for. And in the playoffs, that's something you don't want to do is play a lot of overtime minutes.
Yep.
Because as more and more as your series go on, your legs are going to give out on you.
Yeah.
And, you know, Boston is now without Kyrie Irving. That's why this game stayed close. So they're pretty equal, Charlton, in comparison as far as talent.
Yeah.
Now, Giannis at any point can go off, and they have a couple other players there in Milwaukee. But this is a series that can be very well even, and I think it's going to go 7.
Yeah, it's a good-looking series so far, Big C. I do want to say, my friends, Philadelphia, you know, 130 to 103 over Miami. These guys are young, they're brash, and I know what I'm going to say is probably stupid, not even appreciated in Philadelphia. But leave Joel Embiid on the bench. Don't keep talking about when can we get him back. They've been better without him, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you speak of Philadelphia, and I got to go off the script just a little bit here. You know, Hal Greer, all-star guard, former all-star guard with the Philadelphia 76, passed away today at the age of 81. He led Philadelphia he was part of that team that won their first NBA title, 67-68 season.
Yeah.
This is a team that possessed 4 NBA Hall of Famers, led by Wilt Chamberlain, Billy Cunningham on that team. And Al was a 5-time All-Star.
Yeah.
One of the more unsung superstar players in the NBA. Today, he would be like a Michael Westbrook.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous point guard, Charlton. Lost his battle today at the age of 81, and I just want to pay homage to him as we're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yeah.
But back to the current team, Charlton, as you talk about Embiid being on the bench. This is a much better team because now you're not waiting on a post player.
Yeah.
When you look at the NBA, at the dynamic of this league, there's no dominant post player in the playoffs.
No.
These are all guard-led teams and forward-led teams. When you look at what Ben Simmons doing,
yeah.
I mean, he's a younger Magic Johnson.
He's amazing.
The way he can dominate a game, Charlton. We go back to when the Lakers won a championship against Philadelphia, and Magic was the dominant player in that series.
Yeah.
He took the big men of Philadelphia out of that game when they had Daryl Dawkins, they had Moses Malone, and Caldwell Jones.
Yeah.
They had 3 big men, but none of them could play with Magic. And that's what you have right now with Embiid on the bench.
Yeah.
Is that you can have an up-tempo offense.
Yep.
The greatest thing about Philadelphia's team right now, Charlton, they have 4 starters.
Yeah.
That didn't learn how to play basketball in America.
Yep.
Okay, only J.J. Redick is the only one of the 5 starters who learned how to play basketball in America. Even Embiid, you know, so you could say 6.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 players that learned how to play basketball not in America. So what happens with that is that you learn how to move without the basketball.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's what Philadelphia has right now, is that they have 5 players, because J.J. wasn't a spot-up shooter when he was at Duke. He was a guy who had to run and move off of picks because he wasn't the greatest of speed in the ACC.
Yeah.
But, you know, this team is unselfish. When you look at young American players, and watch this in the playoffs, you're going to have the young American-grown players in the playoffs looking to break down a player, be out there one-on-one, excessive dribbling, not looking to pass the ball as much as when you look at Philadelphia. This is a team with excessive ball movement. That's what will allow them to advance in the East, is that they don't need the ball in their hand to be successful.
Yeah.
It's almost like a quarterback throwing to an open spot and expecting a receiver to get there.
Yeah.
That's the type of offense that they run in Philadelphia.
Well, I think they're a lot better. You brought up the idea of people standing around watching the alpha male or alpha female go to the restroom, and sometimes they forget they got to use the bathroom too, Big C. Sometimes you got to use your own restroom, Big C. I look at Indiana, of course, 98-80 win over Cleveland. But on the West, I look at Minnesota and them young stud athletes. for some reason, they didn't spend a lot of time running the basketball the way they should with such young people. They go down to Houston, down south, and they got some of that Texas justice, Big C. That means that Harden can take 7 steps driving to the lane, Big C. They don't give him 2 or 3. He can take 7 steps, throw his arms up and get the foul. Yeah, he may be a tough guy to stop, but give me 7 steps, Big C. Could you imagine if Kareem could take 7 steps on his way to the basket, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, a la Jordan could do that periodically, Charlton.
Yeah.
But, should Houston be concerned? I mean, they got 44 points out of James Harden.
Yeah.
But they only won by 4.
Yep.
They did not manhandle Minnesota as everybody said that they was. And the guys in Vegas are a little tiffed right now. They're wondering about, a little Southern cooking going on. But, here's a team in Minnesota I felt would be physical with Houston.
Yeah.
And hang with them because of that.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They took everybody out of the game except for Harden.
Yeah.
Now they're going to step up the pressure on Harden in the next couple of games. I mean, he's a very difficult out.
Yeah.
But they have to keep him around that 30-point margin per game. If they can keep him there, they can be competitive. They can't let him get in the 40s because that was the difference.
Yeah, it makes a
They
big
lost
difference.
by 4, and he had 44.
Yeah.
If they'd held him 10 points less than that, they'd have walked out with a victory.
Yep.
So they're going to have to find a way to body up on Harden. But, they have some excellent young players in Wiggins, Towns. Butler's a solid veteran. Thibodeau knows what he does defensively as a coach.
Yeah.
He was a tremendous defensive coach when he was with the Bulls in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he's brought that same tenacity to Minnesota. And Derrick Rose has really helped also in the scheme of things, Charlton. So I see them, pushing Houston hard. And if Minnesota doesn't win this series, Houston will be tired and may not get out of the second round, Charlton, when they come out of it.
Yeah, you can hear it first on Big C Sports. I know a lot of people say Houston's going to be the team that gets to the Western Conference Finals. But I learned something when I ran track back in the day. When you run the 100-meter dash, run as hard and as fast as you can. But them good old boys up in Boston today for the Boston Marathons, nobody sprinted the whole way. They paced themselves, Big C, and the runners crossing the finish line first, they paced themselves. I think Houston's running out of gas, and people don't see it now because they're so caught up in the limelight. I do want to also say New Orleans and Portland. Davis is a stud. I mean, he's an amazing basketball player. I don't know. They found a lot of beads in the airport up in Portland, BC, so maybe them people that come out here from New Orleans, they can start cleaning up their beads. Don't pack beads in your briefcase, BC. That make any sense?
Well, Charlton, New Orleans, young legs when they're healthy.
Yeah.
They can put a lot of pressure on you. Anthony Davis, is
he's a stud.
And, he's a better player without Cousins in the lineup.
Yep.
Because he doesn't have to share the wealth. I mean, you can concentrate on him. The thing that makes him so great, Charlton, is he grew up as a point guard.
Yeah.
And so his ability to handle the basketball as a big man is a second to none. I mean, we haven't seen anybody since Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah.
With that type of mobility handling the basketball that he possesses.
Yeah.
And so, they're not going to go away quietly in the West.
No.
And so, this is a team that in time will get there. It's not their time yet.
Yeah.
But they will get there.
Now, they will get to the promised land. I like them. Utah, Oklahoma City, 116-108. And you look at Westbrook, and you look at Anthony, and you look at George. I know Utah's a good team. In fact, they were very dominant down the stretch. But there's something about pacing. Back in the day, like I told you, I talked a lot to my grandparents. They say, boy, pace yourself. You're trying to eat too fast. But I had a lot of people in my family, so if you didn't eat fast, you might not eat at all, Big C. But Grandpa would say, pace yourself. OKC was pacing themselves. And I don't care what anybody says about Westbrook. If you want to know how to get in shape, he's the Jerry Rice and the Walter Payton of effort. The guy brings it every game. But I think them good boys were pacing themselves. And if they happen to run up against a team like Houston, one team was pacing and one team was not. Your thoughts on OKC? And there's no guarantee they get out of this round with Utah, but they sure look like a team that knows how to pace themselves, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, we saw something in that game, Charlton, last night that we may not have seen all year long, and that was Paul George.
Yeah.
Hitting critical shots, scoring 38 points.
Yep.
He was the difference. I mean, he took the pressure off the rest of the offensive players.
Yep.
I mean, when you have Adams in the middle, he can clog it up defensively. But to see George take the reins offensively and say, hey, I'm going to carry the team here in game one, which he did.
Yeah.
It saves Westbrook's leg.
Yeah.
You know, that's the guy that they need not to run into the ground.
Yeah.
And you can see that last year against the Warriors. He was tired because he tried to do too much against the Warriors last year. Now he has some offensive help.
Yeah.
And so this really bodes well for them. And that's one of the reasons why the Warriors didn't want to play them in the first round, them or Utah.
Yeah.
Is because they've had trouble against this team all year long.
You know that.
And now they get a chance to go out and stretch their legs. But now they're showing diversity in their offense. It's not just Michael Westbrook.
Yeah.
You had Paul George. Now, what will Carmelo Anthony do?
Yeah.
You know, as a follow-up act.
Yeah, well, Russell Westbrook's off the hook. He's an amazing athlete, but it reminds me of that story you told me of that old man that told those bulls, quit running down that hill. Walk down that hill. They brought in 2 more bulls that were older than him, and I think it's starting to rub off on the Big C. And I just think about tonight's game, Golden State, San Antonio. There's nothing like the environment of the Golden State Warriors on the West Coast. I know we go up to Canada. You good old boys in Canada know how to get down. The crowd's amazing. But tonight, Golden State can go up 2-0. In fact, they need to go up 2-0 because with a beat down of 113-92, when you got somebody down, when you guys tie that hog down south, Big C, you don't let that hog back off the road, Big C. That make any sense?
Well, Charlton, he can smell the coals burning over there. You know it ain't going to be a happy ending. Not for him, at least. All right?
Yep.
And, you know, everybody had the obituaries for the Warriors, halfway through the season.
Yeah.
Saying that, they were over. Their run was done.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about on many of our episodes that this is a team that's built for a 28-game series.
Yep.
They run 82 in the regular season, but they're built for 28 in the postseason.
Yeah.
That's what this team is built for. And you look at how easily they handled San Antonio, Charlton, in game one. Now, they've won 10 consecutive playoff games, the Golden State Warriors have.
Yeah.
And so there's something about this particular time of the year, if you go back over the last 3 years and count the number of playoff games that the Golden State Warriors have won versus lost.
Yeah.
I kind of like their odds.
Yeah.
Because when they get to this point in the season, it's like with a racehorse.
Yeah.
They put these things called blinders on the side of their head, so they don't see what's beside them.
Yeah.
So they got one direction to go in.
Yeah.
And they focus on the finish line.
Yeah.
That's what you have in the Golden State Warriors. Think about the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
That's the Golden State Warriors. They got the blinders on. They don't know. They have no peripheral right now.
Yeah.
So they don't know who's beside them or who's behind them.
Yeah, I tell you.
But they know what's in front of them. Larry O'Brien's trophy.
They understand that trophy, and from what I understand, you listen to your music in the dark. It lets you know how you really feel. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble, Big C. What are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, there's this little thing called expansion in sports. And it came in the NHL this past season called the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yep.
Right now, they're up 3-0 on the Los Angeles Kings in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
They have a chance to close out the Kings 4-0. You think about that. You're an expansion team in your first playoff series, and you knock off a former Stanley Cup champion, Charlton, 4-0 in the first round. That's great for hockey. It's really going to make hockey readjust its thinking in the future with the Las Vegas Golden Knights expansion.
Well, Big C, we love expansion, and we love success. We love competition. And no matter what you do, love every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.